Well, how's it going, Kingsman? Welcome back to another NTW3 battle. Today, we have the Rheinbund and the NR4 facing off on a Poland 4. And today, they will be playing the War of the Third Coalition. 35 points total. We are viewing from the, what is this? NR4 side. So, the Rheinbund is playing the coalition, which is some Russians, Austrians, and I believe even a little bit of British. I think it's Cathcart on the field today. So, without further ado, before this battle starts off, because both of them start on opposite sides of the map, and they will meet pretty soon in the middle, I would expect. Let us go over the factions. So, on the NR4 side, you have a 6-point Davout, a 9-point Lannes, a 7-point Bernadotte, and a 13-point Soult on the coalition side. I apologize, I do not have the numbers of those points. You have, I believe he's a 5 or 6-point Cathcart. Bellegarde, I believe, is an 8-pointer. I'm not totally sure. Buxhowden and Constantin. So, you know, you have 2 Russians, 1 Austrian, 1 British-Russian force here. Constantin, I do believe, is a guard unit. And of course, you can see them, you know, rolling up. There's a lot of earthworks and such, which I expect the coalition will take at least a portion of this ground here. There's a small river that divides this map right here. And already we are starting to see some coalition cavalry scouting out. So it looks like some Guisards trying to get a view of the French formation. Now, the armies are still, you know, in their respective formations here, so you gotta get an eye on what Davout's corps looks like. He has a bunch of carabiniers up in front and light infantry, followed by 3 lines of some regular line infantry, or sorry, 4, one of them being a chasseur cheval and a grenadier, and then some backup lines here as well. And then, of course, Bernadotte has those voltigeurs and then a bunch of line infantry. Looks like he has a mixture of some grenadiers, light infantry, and line infantry. The real kicker, guys, the real one that's going to be showing up in force is going to be Soult. And you can see got a lot of infantry. 14th, 36th, 14th, more of that. 55th, 43rd, a lot of those. 57. Then, of course, 4 light infantry units, some grenadiers as well mixed in. And I do believe on the far side you have Lannes, which has his cavalry. And then, of course, some line infantry, some grenadiers, and some light infantry. But decent amount of cavalry for the French. Chasseurs cheval, chevaliers, and some hussars up in the front, scouting things out, feeling out the enemy. Both sides will have that do is see some horse artillery for the coalition. Nice position, being able to force back French cavalry potentially, as they're going to try to get a good position of strength. Now, there is a lot of French cavalry presence over here. I've only seen 1 or 2 Austrian cavalry units, but there's a general over here. We do not know which one that will be, but it is obvious that Lannes has gone for the far flank. And then, of course, we have everybody else just kind of filling in the center. Have not pushed across the river yet, and we do see some Russian lines, some light infantry. Don't know if these are squarables or not. Either way, though. Pushing forward, and the French infantry in the background. It's kind of cool. I know someone mentioned it's a pity the grass doesn't render, which I agree. That looks so much more epic. You can see this rendered grass all the way over there, but you know, we play with what we get, you know, as old as this game is. Now we're seeing a lot more cavalry sprawling out along the battlefield, more horse artillery shooting at these chevaliers. We're now going to disperse a little bit. And I do believe we have our first cavalry engagement. All right, guys, we are back. Sorry about that. Had two of my youngest children, they got into some lotion and had it all over themselves. And I had to stop to deal with that. And yeah, all right, we're right back. Right where I believe this cavalry was just moving in. LeBlanc's moving in on some hussars here, catching them napping. Oh yeah, they got them totally by surprise. And of course, there's more Austrian cavalry going to push up to help support it. But there's more cavalry ready. But yeah, this looks like a very successful... Did they lose anybody? They didn't lose a cavalry unit at all. That is entirely... Wow. That's impressive. Without loss of a single man. It does look like artillery is starting to fire for the French, that was friendly fire. Either way, not a good thing for the coalition. We are seeing skirmishers, or those not skirmishers, light infantry, pouring in some volleys here, trying to drive back the French forward cavalry parties and hold this part of the river. At least for now. Look at them reloading here. And a lot of artillery. My goodness. But still nothing really. I don't know who's going to make the initial attack or not, but we will have to see over time. This is potentially going to be interesting. Looks like Lannes is actually pushing the coalition's left flank. Of course, they're going to take this LOC, but there's a lot of room for them to maneuver. If they switch to the left, though, an opportunity for Soult to push the right, and Davout and Bernadotte to push in the center. Now, of course, Bernadotte could be moving with Davout potentially in the center, while 9-pointer for France flanks, and then the 13-pointer hits the other side. I'm not sure what the gameplay is, what the game plan is for this Imperial corps, or corps, I should say. And of course, you still have Davout, Davout, still poised. He has his palms moving forward, though. Actually, a lot of infantry, almost 2,000 men. The most, actually, no, wait, I take that back. One of the coalition, Buxhowden, has 2,800 men, the most men on the field for one individual corps. But still, yeah, France is going to run into some problems here. If there's a bunch of artillery massive, if the coalition brought their artillery, which they may have, it'd be very difficult. Now, here it is. Look at this 4-pound, or this 4-gun horse artillery. Beautiful position. They can easily mobilize around as needed. And I don't think there's actually a lot of artillery for this coalition. They're going to be relying mostly on their infantry and cavalry to make real moves here. Lannes has switched his corps up. He has some of it rolling in one direction than the other. He has a smaller corps too, which I'm rather surprised about. He has a corps of 1,200 men. So yeah, not very big armies today for either side compared to the last replay we looked at, which was insane. This is a very much smaller battle. It's going to be a little more decisive, I would expect. More Russian artillery setting up. We will see how many guns they start massing up, because I suspect they will be trying to get a large amount of artillery. Still, we do have now a Russian corps pushing over here to the left side to support one of the Austrian corps. Cathcart in the other Russia. Wait, so that means that this would have to be... Who would that have to be? Bellegarde. Bellegarde, and maybe it's either Constantin, obviously, or Buxhowden. Not sure which would be it. Maybe the generals look different. I can't tell. I don't know my Russian corps very well. One of them has a crossier in the unit, and one of them doesn't. So I'm not sure which is which. But all the you guys that know your cores really well, that'll be your game. Now that is a grand sight. These grenadiers looking nice. They're a very small unit, but still. Taking shelter in this LO, or this, not even, I guess it's an LOC. They're taking shelter behind it for the artillery. Just biding their time. As you can hear the artillery firing at them. Taking a couple losses, destroyed a couple buildings. Nothing much, though. Most of these guys are just chilling out for now, waiting for that move to be given. Cathcart is over here. The British. But I think we're waiting on the big move to happen. I'm not sure where it's going to. I think maybe Soult is going to be the first big move. You notice Bernadotte is kind of hanging back here. Like I said, Davout's kind of chilling. Lannes is kind of swinging around slowly, but no real big engagements they've been having. The infantry haven't even seen each other yet. This has been cavalry and artillery. Now, maybe they are going to push this flank because of all the artillery set up here, facing Davout and Bernadotte. But I do see it mobilizing up again, so maybe the coalition are concerned about what is on this right side. And the British probably not a fan of trying to face a 13-pointer by themselves.
Ordre bien reçu.
Considering now we have the Hussars. Alright, we are back. Man, what 2 delays in a while. This one was more of a system on my side. Something wasn't running right and it was causing some insane lag. Hopefully I fixed it, but I guess we'll find out as we record if there's lag and delay still. And if there is, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to fix it next time when I'm not in a time crunch trying to get a video out. But still, we are back on that advance by Soult on that right flank. Of course, keeping track on this left side here, like we had said before, artillery starting to be positioned in, some good spots here for the coalition to defend against an attack on that left side. But I don't think they realize where the bulk of the French corps of infantry are, which is on their extreme right, and then plenty massed up in the center. Now, of course, this artillery is making the French have to pull units back to stay away from that harmful artillery fire. They're just biding their time, though, guys. They're just waiting. Nice Bavarian lines here. Look at these dudes. You don't see Bavaria very often. It's kind of cool. Bernadotte now. They're listening to the artillery whistle overhead. And the real question is, do they know that Soult's over here? That is the real question. Do they know? Because right now, Cathcart, I believe, is the only corps that is over here. And he does have cavalry that is pushed up. You see the Hussar here. Another Chasseur Cheval pushing forward. This will only be the perfectly executed attack if the French can manage to sneak across and smack into the flank. If the coalition are waiting all in one spot, it may not go too well. Now, of course, that's all you know, circumstantial. We don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. I do like they have a lot of cavalry here. They're scouting the enemy's movements now, trying to get an eye on the enemy formation. Of course, you know, Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they want to see where the enemy were? Artillery still over there. Horse artillery setting up. You do have some Russian infantry still on this high ridge. And we have not seen the bulk of the coalition yet. We have not seen them. They're still waiting. But Davout and Bernadotte may make their move now that Soult is pushing across the river. We'll see in a second. Does look like he has some general movement. Yep. All right. So we have the advance. This is the coalition, or the Imperials, the French big attack they're making. And oh boy, is it gonna be a rough one. Now you're starting to see more and more of the British, as I'm just gonna call them, hanging out over here. They're still decently far away. And there's a nice artillery battery here with some earthworks, but we'll see what the French can do with that. They're going to have to worry about two different fronts, obviously being attacked. As Davout gets in position to pincer, I would suspect pincer from two sides here, this right flank. At the same time, everybody else is rolling down this road. Looks like they're not even going to take on this left side with Bellegarde. They're instead going to go for the right side, or the French left, technically. But still, the Russians, they're still a serious threat. You know, you can't discount them yet. And they have some good positions. And cavalry, you know, so I guess we'll have to see how things roll out. Now we do see the British Corps. He has his lines formed up. Has artillery even. Kind of looks like a Swedish artillery piece. Well, these guys are still hidden, but you can hear the drums, I'm sure. Artillery, though, going for cavalry. Is this Constantin? Oh, I don't know. I don't think that's Constantin. Must be Buxhowden. Artillery, though. Oof. Crashing in, but there's the infantry. Oh boy, we're about to get some heat on this portion of the fighting. We have a very, very organized advance being made. The light infantry in front for Soult, with line infantry behind him in several waves. Grenadiers in the mix there. Of course, it does look like the coalition are beating a retreat. We'll see if the French can catch them. They're probably going to pull back to their ally and towards the artillery. That looks like that. They're abandoning this high ground. Not totally abandoning, I should say, but they are pulling back onto the other side. And probably going to try to let the Austria, who is actually pushing on the left, maybe even with Constantin, swing around, try to intercept or flank the attack. Bernadotte's Hussar is in danger. You have some Ulani. Ooh, it's getting laggy again. And they did not get away in time. So unfortunately, they break. And you have some Hussars may try chasing them down. Not totally sure yet.
Sir! Sir! Our general is under attack!
All right, here we go. France making their advance across the river. And Russia seems totally content to let them at least push across, with artillery just firing down on them as they make that push. And of course, you have the Austrians threatening their right flank. This does not bode well, I think, for the French. They're going to have some brutal artillery shots going into their center line. Austrians on the flank. And a Russia in front of them. This, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I am not totally confident in this. And unfortunately, Soult is going to be right in front of some nasty guns. They missed. Oh, they didn't miss. They got the light infantry. But we do have that Dragoon unit, that 230 or 28 now man unit that could smack in here with cavalry to support them and line infantry pushing forward. Grenadiers in the forward line. Ooh, this is a very nasty 2 lines of infantry. And it starts off with a cavalry charge. Or some of that light infantry. Friendly fire in the back lines, but Russia sends in chevaliers. These chevaliers from Bernadotte need to get themselves out of there, as fresh dragoons are going to get called in. Oh, this looks a little messy. But it is getting France a chance to push forward here, get close with the Russian line, who's busy. See, these grenadiers can get close enough to get in a melee. Over here, Austria, ever approaching, ever quicker. Can't talk. More quickly. Bernadotte needs to get his forces to threaten their flank so they can't just push forward here. But Russia has set up a line of defense. You can see they are not in melee yet, but they're going to start pouring in some volleys as the French do make their advance. Feels like there's a bit of engagement here. Gosh, these grenadiers are going to start taking a beating pretty quickly here. We do have, like I said, Austria pushing forward. Bernadotte really needs to have his corps a lot closer, I think, to be able to support this battle sooner. France is not going to have that forward momentum because their flank is threatened. Now, Soult's may be able to make an aggressive push here. Cavalry charging in, I think, trying to go for some artillery. I think they may have broken some. If nothing else, they're going to pour in some nice volleys on the Russians. Russia just keeps pulling back, pouring in volleys and pulling back. And a counter charge here. Square form is supporting lines of infantry gonna fire. Cathcart's British are gonna be pushing on that flank as well. He's more in a reserve capacity at this point. We have France looking like they're going to go straight at it. We're going to have some French on Austrian grenadier action here. Where France is definitely going to be doing a little better here. Oh, look at that. Artillery, though, supporting this defense. That's going to make it very nasty very quickly. I feel like the French need cavalry over here. This infantry on infantry action is getting kind of nasty. Ooh, a nice charge by the Austrians trying to slow up whatever assault the French may want to make on Austria. Some nice supporting lines of infantry going to pour in some fire. Bernadotte is now here. It's going to force the Austrians to pull back that initial offensive. Those grenadiers are going to get run down, probably broken, but maybe it'll give the French a chance to actually break this cavalry unit. A lot of space between Soult and the enemy. Not a lot of chances to get some melee. as Soult is going to be receiving 2 different corps making an attack on his lines. We have some cavalry going for a play, going for this brutal artillery in the center. Will they get there before the canister fires? It looks like they will, and that may help increase their chances of making a good offensive. Now this French unit will break, but maybe they will break the artillery piece. I don't know if they actually will kill the artillery piece. They may at least force them to stay on the guns. But look at this. Heavy columns just inching forward, the better firepower. And Soult is going to start taking losses here. Bernadotte getting into the fight here on the flank. Austria has fallen back across this river. I feel like we need to see some pressure being put on the Russians. Soult's taking on the entire left flank. The center may need a push. Now maybe they're going to put their horse artillery up and just try to make a stand here. I am seeing some more Russian infantry shift around. This could be Konstantin. This could be Russian guard. Yep. Konstantin is shifting his guard over. I think they have found the potential next target for them. Yeah, I think they already have some guard involved. Look at this. This is going to be a very equal fight for a little while at least. The artillery getting charged once again. This time by some dragoons. This may be it finally for that artillery piece. And these grenadiers starting to push forward. And maybe these dragoons will be able to give some assistance here to this assault. They may actually break. They're wavering already. Oh, beautiful volleys on both sides. Look at this. Ooh, another Russian unit breaks. Now I'm watching this. These 4 units may try to circle around and go for Soult's flank here. I guess we will see momentarily if that does happen. Still have a huge dragoon unit fresh and ready to go. So we're trying to figure out where the French are going to try to push. I think this area. They're having Soult hold on this side, using the horse artillery to try to drive back the center and crush it. We have more Russian infantry shifting towards the center. This massive 6-gun artillery piece is going to be hell for the French. I mean, they have to try to get around it. They have to. And another cavalry charge is probably not going to be successful. That unit's going to break. But more infantry now pouring into the front lines. Yeah, look at this. Yep, he sees that threat to the left side, so he has to start pulling back a little bit. And honestly, he could keep pulling back on this left side while the French make a real nice push here. But I am getting concerned. The French do not have as good of a ring of fire as the Russians do. But the Russians are dying much more quickly. Oh, a bayonet charge. A gun messed up. And we have a cavalry charge. Oh my gosh, a huge dragoon unit smashes through the center. This is what the coalition did not want to happen and what the French needed to happen. A huge breakthrough, and now cavalry from the reserve line for the Russians trying to plug in that gap. Reserve infantry as well caught in that massive dragoon unit's charge. And France is just victoriously pushing forward. This is turning out very well for them. Austria is starting to try to push up reserves, try to plug this gap, which is just being made worse by that huge dragoon unit that just keeps rolling over line infantry. You see here Soult going in for a bayonet charge on the Russians. And so far, very victorious, very successful. As I'm starting to see more and more Russians breaking that reserve over here that may have been too far to extend. They may have to pull those units back towards the center where things are starting to turn downhill very quickly as the French You can almost hear the victorious yells as they start just bayoneting through Russian lines of infantry. Just bayonet charging everything, even going for some guard units in the reserve line. Cavalry for the front, or for the Russians, I think it's a guard unit of Lancers shifting over where the French are being just so victorious in their attack. We have Austria, though, making a vicious counterattack on that left flank, trying to maybe divert reinforcements that the French would like to throw into the center, using those grenadiers. And Bernadotte is a very critical portion of his job right now, guys. His skirmisher's getting kind of, ooh, he needs to fix that part of the fight, but he has infantry funneling across that's going to try to, but Austria is actually potentially going to drive a wedge into the French lines now, and we have a Russian counterattack here.
Glorious victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
This is still very vicious. Both sides do not want to back down. And the French, they have made some wins so far, but the Russians have a lot of reserves still in this line. You see France being forced to pull back as the coalition bring in that reserve line, starting to threaten their center. Now we do have more cavalry. It is winded. Not sure where it's planning on going, but you have Lancers going in. More cavalry being thrust into the fight. They're trying to break this Dragoon unit. Let's check how Austria is doing in their fight. Looks like they're actually pulling back across the river. Still a few casualties, but I think they accomplished a grab towards the French attention. But now France, you can see Davout's shifting more and more troops over here. Another break for the Russians, though. They lost some more units. And the 55th, they're going for more. But there's some flanking volleys. And with Constantine's corps, the reserve corps, that is going to be a little bit of a rough fight for Soult. You don't want to be fighting guard units, especially after your units are all tired and starting to be depleted. And you see a lot of units are active or tired or exhausted even. Looking at the grand scheme of things, guys, the coalition are by no means beaten. They definitely have taken some heavy losses, but I see Austria renewing this attack across the river. France actually going for the flank here. Artillery from Russia is just non-stop firing into this French center, and that's going to become very problematic very quickly here. And considering that there's just not a lot of French cavalry, Russia keeps cycling units in, keeping this unit from being able to rest. And they're about to break. Soult pulling back here as Constantine's corps seems very fresh. And he's committing it. Look at that. And Austria still making another push here. Now over here, he's taking some losses with some of his units. But overall, I think the coalition are going to focus on what's left of Davout, Lannes, and Soult. And leave Bernadotte. A friendly fire, unfortunately. Yeah, this is a bad spot. This is a very strategic attack by the Austria, especially. He's trying to, with Constantine, close in and take out a huge pocket of French infantry. Let's see if they are successful. There is cavalry trying to save this line. And France actually managed to get some of the troops back across. Now they're trying to overwhelm this coalition right here, but there's too many. They're outnumbered. He may have a pocket of French infantry and cavalry that breaks, but he's going to commit the 1/11th. And things seem to be turning up in favor of the coalition now.
Our men are running from them.
Oh my gosh, the canister! That is insane. There's the assault, though. Horse artillery probably got an insane amount of kills, but maybe France can force the coalition to lose multiple units here by the artillery piece. Maybe. The artillery piece is still standing. Look at these skirmishers pouring a point-blank volley. Oh my gosh, they may actually break one of these units. They break one of them. And the rest of the French are pulling back, trying to get away from this ever-tightening circle on the right. In fact, France may be going for a counterattack here. And a rally gets popped. Pouring in some volleys. Man, these guys are extremely close to each other. Look at this. And the Constantine's core is a little stronger. Fresher too, probably. That's pretty cool looking though. Just charge up the hill, you know? Bavarians fighting for the top of this hill as well. The line is starting to waver, but it's not broken yet. Oh, no, I think it's broken. Look at this, the coalition are just rolling over the side. I mean, man. The numerical difference. I think it's like an extra 1,000 men for one side over the other. Almost 1,000 men for the coalition over what the French had. And now it's honestly just Bernadotte.
Our men are running.
That's all Bernadotte has left. He's sending in his general. Oh, don't shoot him down. Let him play. Let him fight. Is that him right there? Look at him. Oh. Did you guys see that? He like bayoneted the horse, then stabbed him as he was laying on the ground. That is rough. Now I think that was actually Soult. I think he's over here. Still, that's brutal. That is really brutal. I think that's going to be pretty much the battle. Bernadotte does not have much left, and honestly, with friends routing, it's going to be really rough for them to actually make a real move. What a fight for this high ground, though. Man, they gave the Russians what for? It's a lot of dead Russian guard right here. Actually, all the way up. Good grief. That's by far not. This is not the victory that the coalition would have wanted. I mean, there's dead men everywhere. look at these brave Bavarians. Charge up the hill. I think that's all that's left. Just the fast forward button here. But yeah, a victory will be actually for the Rhineland clan. The coalition taking the field. Man, almost. The French came decently close. Unfortunately, they got pummeled in the center. This artillery setting up right over here, just pummeling their lines.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
And then, of course, they did make that attack, but there was just so much here. Bernadotte seemed a little far away, and then Austria pushed up, and Bernadotte had to push there. I think they had an initial minute or two maybe to make an attack, maybe, just from what I've observed. But besides that, yeah, there's nothing else I think the French could do. They did everything they could. And it looks like we're going to have a last fight.
Running, sir.
And that should be it. So GG's. Good job to both sides. And a Rhineland victory. Who was this? This was Lannes' army. Yeah, his Grenadiers did really well. 215 kills, despite, the losses and all. But let's pull up the results here so you can see. All right, so we have Xerxes. He was playing as Bellegarde. He got 951 for the kills. I'm Razor. He was the Buxhausen with 1338. Eternal as Cathcart with 744. And then Leshang as Constantine with 1238. On the other side, you have Vor. I do believe he was... Actually, I don't know who he's playing. Let's do Duke Bob Ross was playing Lannes with 828. You have Doggiffy. He was either Davout or wait. I think Marshal Vor was Davout, which would make Doggiffy the Bernadotte, and then Mapbob was Soult. He's a substitute for them, for their clan. But still, a very good battle. You can see the kills respectively. Obviously, the coalition did better on the kills than the Imperial, but that's to be expected when you win the battle. But still, I enjoyed it. It was a nice, fierce fight for that earthwork area, and yeah. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for me today. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all in another video.